One. What is happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Here the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day. We are here on this fantastic Wednesday evening. A little bittersweet, I will say, but we've had enough sleep now. We maybe have not forgotten what happened last Saturday, but we're always going to be here to cover the games, recap them, everything. The content doesn't stop over here. Definitely appreciate everybody hanging out with us this evening. With me on the show is Austin Veazey, our lead basketball writer, up here with me at the top, Dustin Lucas, our lead writer and editor down below, and Nate Greer, our lead recruiting insider at NoelGameDay.com. Gentlemen, good evening. We are now 4 days past the horrific event that happened in Campbell Stadium. Are you still alive, everyone?
What happened? I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, do we really have to give our final thoughts on this?
Yes.
I don't think it should be necessary, honestly. I feel like the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds speaks for itself.
Yeah, the fact that Florida State was in another competitive game against an inferior opponent, an FCS team, and then they lose on a really, really piss poor defensive call and just lack of situational awareness by the players. Kind of gives you a snapshot of where this program really is at, and it's sad. But we're moving forward to Wake Forest now. Wake Forest now becomes, in my opinion, one of the most important games in recent Florida State history to prevent them to start 0-3.
Yeah, we've seen, the best that this Florida State team can play against Notre Dame, and now we've seen, I would say, the very worst that they can play this past Saturday. So which Florida State team is going to show up against Wake Forest, we're going to find out.
Yep, we'll be giving our last thoughts on Jacksonville State. We'll be moving on from that. We'll talk a little bit of depth chart changes. Dante Lucas is planning on entering the transfer portal. We're going to talk a little NFL Knowles. Austin's got some basketball updates along with the ACC schedule release, which happens tomorrow at 7 p.m. Be previewing a little bit of the opponents there, and then we'll go in and preview Florida State versus Wake Forest and jump into that. So nothing too crazy jam-packed in here for you guys, so we won't waste much of your time. As always, you can always listen to this show on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. If you're on YouTube, definitely hit that like button if you're there. Subscribe, hit that bell so you're notified every time we release a new episode. And yeah, gentlemen, let's get started. First off, I do think we do need to note on our big news, at least internally here at Noel Game Day, something that had been in the works for well over a month. One of the most stressful times I've ever gone through with school starting up, football season beginning, and us officially partnering and joining the network at sportsillustrated.com. This is something that is kind of, I've always had dreams as younger joining, a big network like this. And for it to be the Sports Illustrated is definitely a special moment for us. A lot of our guys on here put in a lot of work, a lot of things that you guys don't see maybe, publicly, but a lot of work goes on in the back into this, and us to get on here, a few times a week and also have articles going out, social posts, find an insider scoop, nuggets, and take control of the Discord. Like, there's a lot that goes on the back end, but we were really excited last Friday to announce our partnership of joining that network. There's a lot of opportunities, Dustin will probably talk on a little bit, but there's a lot of opportunities with retrieving now credentials that allows us to really get inside the program and give you guys so much better coverage, along with advancing some of our content too, because, we weren't able to be there at those practices. We weren't able to see with our own eyes, but now we get to go there. And then on nights like this, I get to come back from a practice and talk to you, and we get to add more content to, the articles, videos, everything of that nature. So we're extremely excited. It was nice to go ahead and announce that on Friday and get that weight off the shoulders, because it was hard to hide things too. I'm not really good at hiding things. I'm one of the worst people when it comes to Christmas presents. And that one was really tough to hide from my friends and some of my family members. But our team here absolutely deserves this opportunity. We're going to kill it. The guys at Sports Illustrated, we keep our name. Our content stays the same, which we love. It's only just going to be advanced even more. Our production level is moving up some more. So if anybody else wants to speak on it, it goes to Austin too. And Nate, with recruiting and basketball, we're credentialed in a lot of areas, and we can really like up our coverage in that overall in both of those areas.
Now, for me, it's just, being an independent site is tough. because it's a lot of grinding. It's a lot of grunt work to, compete with 24/7 and rivals and all that stuff. Sites that are credentialed and have access that we felt that we had a right to. Let's be honest, we felt we had a right to it, but there's certain rules and things that prevented that. But now that we have that roadblock out of the way, that gives us a chance to be even more competitive when we already were. So it's exciting that we get a chance to have such a large media platform behind us that will allow us to get our hard work out there more. I think Boston's the best basketball guy out there for FSU, so it'd be good for him to get his stuff out there more. And Dustin is whatever, but it's good for us. It's just a chance to continue to compete, and I think all four of us are super competitive and driven to take this as far as it can go. So it's a feather in the cap, especially for you that you started this a long time ago, so it's got to be especially good for you to see the fruit of the labor to come through. And one final thought, I would say, all that good stuff that's happened for you since I came along, a year ago, it's been so great for you,
Yeah, since you came on, everything has just been looking.
Everything
really
is just flourished,
Yeah,
I mean, we've got your initials up in the right hand corner right now.
I know.
So.
I mean, it's like
just destined for this to happen.
Yeah, meant to be. But
Dustin, talk about the coverage on football, because you'll be, like we said, credentials are coming, but how will that affect our coverage, practice, football games, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, being under Sports Illustrated in general just, increases the credibility of Noel Game Day. And like you said earlier, it's just going to enhance the coverage that we'll be able to bring, now being credentialed to go out to practices, watch the team, give you guys nuggets on what we're allowed to report, attend the press conferences, and even extending to game days. We'll be able to go up in the press box, watch a game and everything there, go watch the pregame or the postgame press conferences and all of that. So, hopefully we're just giving you even more of a daily look at Florida State football and what's transpiring, and, just increase our coverage and our content and what we're able to bring you guys. Because, the reason we're at Sports Illustrated is because we have such a great fan base. So just want to thank everybody that's been here since the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, coverage all around is going to help. I know Austin's got basketball that'll be coming up soon, and he's going to be starting his coverage there. But the reach that Sports Illustrated have, I mean, I don't think a lot of people know it. I'm going to show my nerd area here, but I mean, right now they're ranked as the number 7 site in all of the world in sports media. I mean, they're ahead of some of our big competitors. I mean, Sports Illustrated and their new publishers that brought us on, I mean, they're just blowing up right now. And so it's a really good time to join them. There's a lot of other sites like we had on Brian from the Irish Breakdown, who are experts in their field with these teams, that we're able to grab them and bring them on the shows to grab better analysis and what maybe we can give on the opponents. So this is a great time for us to join, and we're not going to change. We're going to stay competitive. We're still going to get after it. Nothing changes there. It just is, we have a lot more opportunities at hand. But we definitely appreciate everybody for following us too. I mean, it has been fun. It was a crazy month, but I'm just glad it's over, and now we just get to do what we regularly do, give you guys content.
And not only bringing on those kind of guests, but also bringing on members of Florida State athletics currently. That's been an issue in the past where we've had to go through the media office and they won't allow us to have access. But now if we wanted to, we could hit up a coach and potentially do an interview. That's something that's huge for us, something that we've always thought we deserved. And as much as one coach makes fun of us for not bringing him on the podcast already, Logan's laughing because he tried this Notre Dame weekend. We're actually able to now, and won't get yelled at. So we're really excited about this. As Nate touched that earlier, I feel like I'm pretty humble, but I feel a side of basketball coverage that no one else has on the Tallahassee beat, and we're super excited for this and super excited to keep giving people great coverage.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Austin, you better make it even better now.
Everybody. And Jacob. I don't know a lot of people know about Jacob, but he's going to be helping Austin too with basketball coverage along with recruiting too. So overall, it's going to be big time. But Sports Illustrated, the things I'm almost done talking. But the Sports Illustrated, there's a lot of opportunities. They want to help us as much as possible too, and have our back. So we're really really excited. And I hate talking about myself and G so much, but it's just a grateful feeling for everybody clicking on the articles and listening and views and all that kind of stuff. It just wouldn't be here without you guys. So definitely appreciate it. But now it's time to get back to work. That was fun. We had like our day or 48 hours of celebrating, had the weekend, but now it's time to get back to work. So
real quick though, make sure to go check out si.com/college/FSU.
Yeah, go check
Give
it
some
out.
love to the new site.
Absolutely.
Make sure to plug that.
Yeah, go check out the site. Why not? Let's jump into some quick hitters now, gentlemen. Let's give our last thoughts on Jacksonville State. How did we feel afterwards? Did we feel any different than the instant reaction, or do we feel the same? Does anybody feel optimistic that there's going to be a better? Before we talk about Wake Forest later in the episode, do we feel any kind of better after that game, or now just feel the same?
Can't get worse. I mean, we're just plug in the instant reaction right now, and you'll still have everyone's same thoughts. It was an embarrassing performance with an embarrassing finish. And there's a lot that's got to get fixed.
I can take that nobody else wants to speak on it. Nate, what do you feel like after the Jacksonville State game in a few days?
Nothing really different than what I thought in the instant reaction. I mean, it's just like it's mind-numbing that Florida State got to this point to where they lost to an FCS team. It's the ugliest loss in Florida State history. And, people got to answer to that, and that's the coaching staff and that's the players. The players got to execute more, but, the coaches can't put their players in a position to fail. And that's just I need to see some more commitment this week as a whole. And by that I mean I need to see better coaching. I need to see less loafing. There's a lot of loafs last week, a lot of just laziness. And I kind of said it on Twitter. It felt more like a live scrimmage than versus a game. And FSU played with fire and they got burnt.
Yeah, I would say just, still really disappointed in everything that transpired on Saturday night. In my opinion, it didn't even really feel like Florida State wanted to be out there. They just didn't compete with that same fire that we saw from this team against Notre Dame in the opening week. And I don't know if it was just because they felt a little satisfied after a close loss, or they thought they could take it easy on Jacksonville State. But I really do think, this upset loss to the Gamecocks, you can take it in two directions. Either it's going to be like the last couple years where this team is just kind of quit and fallen apart as the season has gone along, or they're going to respond from this loss, learn that they can lose to any team on any day, and, hopefully come out and fight their asses off against Wake Forest.
Yeah, I'm hoping, I don't know, I've talked with a lot of coworkers and people running around and stuff, grabbing groceries and talking football, and I don't know. I think a lot of the fan base is once again really pissed off. They felt a lot of optimism after the Notre Dame game, but the fact that we got to see the team go out and perform against Jacksonville State and kind of not feel like they wanted to be there sucked, because I thought the crowd was there. I thought that, this team seeing that there was fans coming for Jacksonville State for the student section selling out. That's just not going to happen again for the rest of the season unless Florida State goes on some crazy run. It's just not going to happen. That's not going to sell out again. You had that opportunity, building that fan base back, building that energy back inside of Doak, and now it's gone. That's what sucks. Leaving the stadium, hearing people say, well, I'm already second weekend to September and the season's over after I waited 8 months. I bought season tickets. I was excited for the season. Now that just completely lost me. That's what sucks the most. And I understand that, we're in the Discord, we hear that those same cases, and it just stinks. That's what sucks the most. And I don't think, hearing things about what's going on in the locker room after the game, some guys being really hurt by it, some not being hurt by it. That's where I think this team is still very young, but there's got to be some changes there. Still some culture things that need to be fixed.
And it's still wild if you think about it. This team's 2 plays away from being 2-0, if you want to think of it that way. You take away a Travis interception and you make 1 tackle at the end of the Jacksonville State game, you're possibly 2-0 right now. It's been a weird start to the season, but it's gone as poorly as it could have.
Yeah, 2-0 and probably ranked in the top 15. If you really think about it, you know.
Because we're getting votes at the end of after the Notre Dame game.
Yeah. So, I mean,
What do you say, top 15?
yeah. If they would have beaten Notre Dame, they would.
know.
If they would have beaten Notre Dame, they would have popped up in the rankings very quickly.
But not after a win at Jacksonville State. They want to beat.
Well, as many losses as there were last week. Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't know.
But Florida State shot themselves in the foot numerous times, and you go out there and just call a absolute shit call on the last play of the game, and here we are.
Yeah, no, it was obviously not so pretty. I mean, I don't know. I think, looking into some of the practice reports and such, some guys, Brownlee owned up to it, and that's nice to see. And I don't know. I still think there's some things in the locker room that needs to be worked on from what Nate is hearing, what I was hearing earlier this week. There's just some certain things that still have to be fixed. And I'm wondering who wants to be there, who wants to be there? I mean, that was the worst loss. I mean, you got Jacksonville State planting the flag on the logo. What does that do to you? What is that? Does that fire you up for the rest of the season, or do they even care about that? Like, that's just plain, it's disrespectful. Does Florida State deserve that? Yeah, they deserve it. I mean, they deserve the national embarrassment that they're getting. It's all over social media. I mean, it's not even, you can't even talk about Miami anymore. I mean, we knew they were going to get ran over by Alabama. Don't think Miami's faced, but they didn't lose to Jacksonville State. They didn't do that. I mean, it sucks because you have, I mean, I'm dealing with it right now, nonstop, all rivals DMing me, texting me like, you idiot, you clown, thinking that after Notre Dame, Florida State was gonna, and then I tweeted, I was also what I tweeted a little while ago after the Notre Dame game, that Florida State's future is bright under the coach of Mike Norvell, but how much does that go towards now people thinking is Mike Norvell at the same level as Willie Taggart was? Because that has started a huge conversation across social media. I mean, that's not something we can ignore.
No, moving on.
That's been the discussion.
I get it. Everyone, Florida State fans are the worst when Florida State loses. When FSU wins, everyone is all singing Kumbaya. Everyone gets along. Everyone loves everything. When they lose, it's just this automatic worst case scenario meltdown. Everyone sucks. Fire everyone. Kick them all off the team. Blah, cry. Gets old. This isn't Willie Taggart. This is a really a 7-year thing that's led to this. So this isn't a quick fix in any means. You don't bring in the amount of transfers that they did for a reason, because you need older, more experienced players and different leadership. And one of those players you're depending on loafs on the last play of the game. That it's a bad look. So, the there's some questions on what Norvell's personnel was and allowing that last call. I think those are all legitimate questions. But to sit here and say that he's Willie Taggart, who is one of the worst hires in the history of college football, it is a little bit too much of a reach for me to sit there and even have a discussion about.
Yeah, but I mean, Mike Norvell, he is 3-8 at Florida State. So as much as you don't want to hear it, and other people are saying it, we're kind of starting to get to that territory where this is a little bit of a discussion. But at the same time, I'm not out on Mike Norvell's coaching staff just yet. I think it's really important to see how everyone responds this weekend against Wake. Obviously, week 4 against Louisville is going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're going to have to see if this team can generate some type of momentum. Because like I said before, this team, they've laid down and quit in the face of adversity so many times over the last 4 or 5 years. And part of what Mike Norvell has tried to do is shift this mindset in the locker room. And I thought you saw it in the second half against Notre Dame, where they fought back to tie it. But then after that, they just kind of relaxed on their laurels a little bit. So I want to see them get back after it. And I mean, be hungry. You're an 0-2 team. You just got the worst loss in program history. You need to go out there with some fire, or else there needs to be some drastic changes made, maybe in the coaching staff and on the field as well. Shake things up.
I think if FSU loses this week, there's going to be some heads that need to roll.
Mandatory. Boosters will be calling for it.
And you know, I'm not going to sit here and go to backstop because there always seems to be some Twitter mention that happens. But when this isn't just all coaching, man. This is a lot of it. The coaches don't have a false start. These coaches don't miss tackles. So there has to be some accountability for the players too. So. And coaches are responsible for putting them in position. And, as we were talking about, before we hopped on here, Dustin, we were talking about, Fuller a little bit, has he really been that bad? And when you look at the whole picture, you talk about Norvell 3-8 at FSU, but you also have to talk about his coaching staff. Notre Dame was, had some situations where he called good plays but also there's a lot of player lack of execution. And you really saw that on last Saturday against Jacksonville State. And just, that last call is just inexcusable, man. That, I will say that last week was the first time I really questioned Norvell in some things, but I'm not ready to give up on him yet because the guy's a really smart coach. He's innovative. He's got a really good coaching tree overall. So the guy can identify coaching talent. I'm not ready to give up on him yet. As Logan said earlier, a lot needs to change off the field in terms of what these players are doing off the field in order to become better on the field. So, it's just not as simple, cut and dry as, let's go fire another coach. Because FSU does that, they ain't getting no coach that come here.
They're getting us on the staff. They can buy us.
Yeah, they go and fire another guy after 2 years. Who
There's
they
not
gonna
enough
get?
money floating around right now.
Who they gonna get? Honestly,
no one's firing
anyone worth
anybody.
a damn. No one.
Yeah,
So
one's firing anybody.
Let's all relax. Understand that before Norvell came in, this is a 3 to 4 year fix. They're doing what they're supposed to do on the recruiting trail. Florida State's got to win, and that's what we talked about a lot. Florida State's got to win, get to a bowl game this year to keep that class together. Now we're going to see if they can nut up and do it.
Yep, we'll see. Wake Forest is a big-time game, so we'll be previewing that at the end of the show. We'll officially seal this up, dig it up, put it away, and seal it off against Jacksonville State. That's over that. No more to be spoken on. Let's talk a little bit of depth chart here before we talk about Dante Lucas. Depth chart changes. Mackenzie Milton listed as the sole QB starter. I know a few other changes in there that Nate talked about with Sidney Williams. But Mackenzie Milton, the lone survivor there in the quarterback room. Now Jordan Travis as a true backup. We saw during Jacksonville State they were running a little gimmicky, both quarterbacks here and there, but it seems like Mackenzie Milton's a sole starter. It didn't seem like that was really working. I know, Nate, you were talking about it too. It seemed like they were trying to play around with that. That's the kind of stuff you do during practices, maybe not in the game. I mean, maybe you do that against Jacksonville State. You used to be able to do that 5 years ago, but now you can't do that anyways. But Mackenzie Milton listed as the true starter.
Which is the correct move. He's been the only one that's been able to show he can sustain a drive so far. And now that there's film out there on Travis from all of last year, teams just know what to do. He's still not a threat as a throwing quarterback. I think you could still bring him in on 3rd and short, 4th and short if you need it, and do that instead of the stupid wildcat that we've been doing the last 2 games. But I think Milton just raises the offensive ceiling. He already has a pretty good chemistry with kids like Williamson. I think he's going to get there with McLean. I think it's time for the right move. You use Travis as a gadget kind of player, but he shouldn't be a full-time quarterback.
I'm interested to see how it unfolds, man. I've had my own thoughts about Travis as a quarterback. I know there's been debates, and I've said some things where I don't feel like he's necessarily an overall quarterback at this level of college football. And I'm going to stand by that. And I think it showed. And the kid's a great athlete, really special with the ball in his hands. And you have to find a way to make that happen because the guy is he's really good with the ball in his hands. That doesn't make him any less of an athlete. I just don't think he's a full-time quarterback at FSU. And there's nothing wrong with saying that. It just is what it is. I think Milton should be the guy, and it looks like that the coaches are going to move that direction. And I'm anxious to see what happens with a guy like Chuba Purdy, who's starting to come together a little bit for him in practice. Does his progress? Does that allow him to slide into a number two role? I don't think we're really done with that depth chart yet. I really think that providing something catastrophic with Milton and he gets injured or not for a long time, I think he's locked in. And I agree with Logan a little bit. It had to be done. And then with Austin, he sustained the drives each game. The offense is just, they struggled against Jacksonville State. They scored 17 points, but I think some of that was just play calling and personnel, and that's where I really felt like they were just
and penalties and drops.
Yep, throwing stuff to the wind and see what happens. So that's why I felt it was kind of more of a scrimmage than an actual game plan, and that's on the coaches. But I think Milton is definitely the way he should go.
Yeah, and I'm fine with Milton being the starter, but the biggest thing to me is just Florida State developing, some consistency at that quarterback position. I think we talked about it on the Jacksonville State recap, but a lot of different quarterbacks got a lot of reps during fall camp. Milton missed some time, so guys were in and out throughout the entirety of fall camp, and it just feels like the passing game that they're just not in a consistent rhythm at this moment. So I think having Milton start, hopefully at least for the next 3, 4, 5 straight games, we'll just see that continue to grow as things move forward. And you also have to remember, this is only his second game back after 1,000 days out after that devastating knee injury. So I'm sure he's still getting his footing back together. And one question I want to ask you guys, are we worried at all, about Mackenzie Milton's arm strength, his velocity on some of these throws? Because I look back at that interception against Jacksonville State where he threw out wide on the corner route or the hitch route, whatever you call it. And it just felt like the ball didn't get out there fast enough and allowed the DB to come up and make the play. So I just wonder, with that knee injury, and obviously it's something he's going to have to manage throughout the rest of his career, do you think that's potentially hindering him at times throughout games?
I think he's still just testing the waters on what his knee can do, really. I think he's made some really impressive passes. We talked about the one to Helton in the Notre Dame game. He's made some impressive passes, and even that one that Helton dropped in the Jacksonville State game was an impressive throw. I think he's still trying to figure out what he can and can't do, what his limits are. I think he'll get more comfortable as the season gets on. It's not like Travis has great velocity on his throws either. There's a lot of throws that just loft and sit there forever. So I don't really think worrying about his velocity is too much. I think that interception against Jacksonville State, I think it was poor timing. I think the receiver didn't come far enough to the ball. He was a little bit underthrown. It was a combination of a couple things.
I wanted to comment on something that's kind of not really breaking right now, but something that's just all over Twitter, so I thought it'd be worth noting. But I think it is. I think we got to talk about PK Sam, former Knoll, played at Florida State, has been very vocal on social media. And lately, the last 24 hours, it's been absolutely wild. He's now combating with Travis Hunter, 5-star FSU commit. PK Sam tweeted just a little bit earlier today and quoted, I was asked by the source, well, he said, practically, I know the tweet he deleted, but he said a source told him that the locker room was a wreck and that he can confirm it. And that's just how it is. And there's got to be changes there. He was then told, he tweeted, I was asked by the source to take the tweet down, but since a lot of FSU fans always want to talk shit, I got something for y'all next time I go talk to these top recruits. I could actually give a damn what our record is. I already got what I needed from the school. # keep talking. He just tweeted about an hour ago saying, if you want to go to FSU football, you might get called a N for saying the locker room is in shambles. LOL, Travis Hunter, make sure you choose wisely. He posted a picture of him in private DMs with Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter wasn't a fan of PK Sam tweeting things about Florida State football and things of that area. Nate, you know more PK Sam than any of us do on here. And you're also a big Travis Hunter guy. Any comments on what is happening here? Because I don't know what's happening here. I just see it all over Twitter, and we haven't had any time.
Here is a guy.
I don't know what's happening.
So PK Sam needs to shut the fuck up. Okay? Here's a guy who his first 2 years at Florida State, he did absolutely jack shit. Has a good junior year. Always blame the quarterback. The quarterback is why I didn't have 1,000 yards. The quarterback this, the quarterback that. Tries to test the waters in the NFL. Ends up making the Patriots squad. And
then God, it's always
the timing can never be more impeccable when he drops out.
No, it's always when something is going down. We need a statement from him. Oh my goodness! Of course, he always disconnects. Then I wonder what the podcast people hear whenever this goes on. They don't get to see that he actually drops off. We can't make it up. It's real. I'm not removing him. There we go.
Sorry, I had a power surge.
Welcome back.
So here's a guy who makes the Patriots, and due to has admitted, due to his attitude and his just overall shitty attitude, gets kicked out of the NFL for just his poor play, poor attitude, poor everything. And now I think his avenue is to be as, shock jock as possible in order to get attention to stay relevant. He said some stuff about Bobby Bowden, implying that, Bowden was a racist, which for me jumps off the deep end. He went through what he went through at Florida State. I wasn't there. You could say, whatever it was. I know some players that played with him who said nothing but bad things about the guy personally off the field. I've hesitated tweeting this guy. To be tweeting a recruit as important to Florida State's future like he is just reckless. And really, I really would love to see Norvell just call him out and be like, hey, you're not welcome back here. For someone that wants to be a part of Florida State and what they're doing so badly, he likes to just bash them. It doesn't make sense to me. So, it's your Twitter, say what you want to say, but really for someone to me, it's someone who's irrelevant, who's trying to be as shocking as possible to get some attention. And, I hope Travis Hunter tells him to kick rocks. That would make him a 7-star in my opinion.
7-star. Yeah, no, I just thought I'd bring that. I just see it all over Twitter, so I think it's worth noting that sometimes just stay off Twitter. Just get off Twitter and leave as soon as you can. But to be sharing private DMs with a kid and your biggest recruit that you've had in so long, that just shows how much you really care about Florida State and overall. And that doesn't.
He cares about self. He cares about himself. So PK Sam, I see you. Thank you for that touchdown against Florida. Kick rocks.
Anyways, let's move on. Unless anybody else has any more comment, I think Nate did a really good job of laying down that real quick. Nobody else does. Good. All right. Dante Lucas is planning on entering the transfer portal. Nate, you've also had him on your list really early on, that you kind of saw this coming, that he would be leaving the program. But, there was a lot of things to him, both on the field and to some things off it, and maybe in the locker room, that just weren't on the same level as Mike Norvell, the coaching staff, and what they won. I think too, he wasn't listed as a starter. He came in a few games, but as like last week, mistake, penalty on him, messed up a drive. And, I wish him all the best. It just seemed like such a roller coaster up and down, because he had meetings previously, from what we were told, with the coaching staff. And, it just was a rough road for Lucas, but he's no longer with the program, Florida State.
Yeah. I mean, he was, a blue chip guy. I think a lot of people thought was going to help kind of be that bridge well, FSU got better along the offensive line, but he, a lot of these kids, man, self-inflicted. Being at fault for their own troubles and their own struggles at Florida State. So, it's a kid that just couldn't put it together. I know the coaching staff, they tried. I know Atkins tried. I know Norvell wanted to see him be successful. I had him on my list that came out last year that, pissed a lot of people off. But, I'm really surprised that he made it this far, to be honest with you. So, let's call it what it is. The guy, he struggled a lot. He had a ton of penalties. Every game, you could 2-3 penalties, and 2/3 of those would be, significant situational penalties that would put the team behind the chains and behind schedule, or would negate a big play. Just the mental part. The middle part of the game has to get better for him, and I wish him luck. Florida State's going to move on.
Yeah, because just talk about how highly rated he was when he first came in. He was talking about, I'm going to be 3 and out, go to the NFL, take care of mom. After 3 years, he's not even on the team because of whatever reason. He struggled mightily. I wish him all the best, but he just struggled so many times when Florida State needed him to step up, and it sucks. Florida State needs quality offensive line depth. They thought they had it in Dante Lucas coming in, and he just struggled game in, game out, play in, play out.
I will say he didn't get a really great draw from the beginning because, he did come in as a highly ranked offensive lineman. Like you said, Austin, he was the first, I believe, true freshman offensive lineman to start the season opener for Florida State since like 2004, 2005, something in that range. And, I thought he was decent his freshman year, but the thing is, he just got thrown into the fire way too early. I like to see an offensive lineman come in, redshirt, build up their body, get comfortable in the system. Because you're talking about, 18-year-olds going up against 22, 23-year-old grown-ass men. It's just a different game, translating from high school to college. So, he played his entire true freshman season. Then he had that knee injury in the bowl game against Arizona State that set him back. So, a lot of setbacks as well in his development. And, it just didn't help out in the end. I'm sure he's been really frustrated over his time at Florida State because, he was expected to do big things and it just didn't transpire, and wish the best of luck for him wherever he does end up.
Yeah, best of luck to him. Hope things can turn around for him for sure. Going into the rest of some quick hitters here, I thought it was worth noting too before we hopped on here to mention that Samford will actually be naming their field after former FSU head coach in Samford, Bobby Bowden. He'll be his name will be on the field there, and it's really cool. I forget which date. I'll have more information on here in just a second, but it says Samford University will officially name the field an F. Page Seibert Stadium as Bobby Bowden Field prior to their September 25th home game against ETSU. So some really cool stuff here.
That's great, Noah, but Florida State did it first.
And I wouldn't be surprised if West Virginia did something. Like I know Bobby wasn't at West Virginia long, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did something for him there too.
I could see Marshall doing something for him as well, like some type of honor, just because he was a really big part in helping them start to rebuild their program, after that tragedy way back when. Mm-hmm. So, he's done a lot around college football. It's crazy. It's kind of crazy the impact that Bobby Bowden is going to leave just from Florida all the way up to West Virginia and in between.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's another coach that has 2 fields named after him.
Doesn't matter. That comes up. Bobby's a goat.
Should be on every field. The goatest of the goats. Deserves it though. Absolutely. So I thought that was worth noting here. There was a question on here. Where is Damori Tate? Former big time high 4-star.
I think there's a chance you may start to see him this coming week. He's been getting some more time at practice, and I think there's a chance you may see him, if not this week, here pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, he's another guy that's just really, really talented, but been hindered by, off the field stuff, whether it was the academics last season that made him have to sit out, or the injury that he suffered over the offseason that caused him to miss all of spring ball. So he's just been behind the 8 ball a little bit, and he's still a young guy. And like I said, all the potential in the world. I think it would help Florida State to start phasing him in, because I feel like you need some new looks in that defensive backfield. Just whatever they have back there just hasn't really been meshing together consistently enough to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, if he can get it together, that'd be a huge boost for that secondary, because he is. I thought he was the number one corner coming out of high school, his senior year. He has the length. He's got long arms. He's not a blazer, but he's fast enough to keep up. I really like him, and hope that it comes together for him, because have him opposite of a Travis J, or however you see that unfolding, would be a good sign to see, because like I agree with Dustin, is that you got to switch some things up, because it's not working what they have right now. So the more guys they can get reps and see what they have. I think that's where FSU's at right now. You got to kind of run through that roster and see what they can offer, and see if you flip that depth chart significantly. So if he can come in and come off that scout team and contribute in practice and turn that into reps in the game, and it can come together for him, because that's going to help too. Live game reps is how he's going to learn. So if that can all come together for him, I'd be excited to see that for Florida State.
We've talked about it a lot, but out of nowhere, there's a lot of questions. I think it's because we're talking a little bit about Demore Tate, but Destin Hill, we don't have any kind of official updates here. This will be always the biggest question every time, but we'll keep you guys updated if anything comes up. That's all we'll say. We've talked about it before in the last couple of podcasts a few weeks ago, but not
talked about it in the back cave
until later.
Yeah, I'd say just check out the Discord.
Yep, patreon.com/NoleGameDay. That's where you want to be in to get all that kind of inside scoop. One last thing here for quick hitters on the week. NFL Noles, gentlemen. I got to be there to see Jameis Winston absolutely light it up. They beat the Packers 38-3. I mean,
that's correct.
It felt amazing to be there and watch that. It felt a lot like, because I was meeting with Jameis Winston's managers after the game as they were getting ready to go to the buses, and they said it felt a lot like the Clemson game when they went up there and Jameis balled out and they absolutely decimated the Tigers in their home. This time being a neutral site game, but still, it was definitely about 70-30 Packers fans in attendance, and Jameis looked great. 14 of 20, only 148 yards, but 5 touchdowns and no takeaways. And ran a little bit too, guys. I mean, he looked great in the pocket, moved around well, and he got rid of the ball when he didn't need to. There was one play where he had all the time in the world, and usually he will try to take a risk there and throw it, but he threw it away. But it seems like him and Sean Payton are going to be a pretty good tag team moving forward for the former Nole.
And best of all, they beat the Packers. It was a perfect weekend. Appreciate you, James.
Yeah. Obviously, we know which quarterback was the best on the field.
Wasn't a perfect weekend for the Vikings.
Whoa, dang, you had to do it like that?
We don't need to talk about that, okay? Just, we were on a good note, and move on.
Sorry, but if we're doing a game comparison, I don't know if I'd say 2013 Clemson. I'd say 2013 Pittsburgh. Just the coming out party.
2013 Maryland.
Wake Forest, didn't have a ton of yards, but put up points quickly.
I think
that defense for the Saints might be something this year. But Jameis physically looks phenomenal. He's probably the best he's looked since 2013. Great to see him. A shredded defense that competed for. People thought that had a chance for Super Bowl love seeing it. You know, I hope Jameis can put it together week over week because, you know, he's someone that got a lot of criticism and a lot of blame for what was going on in Tampa that I didn't think was rightly deserved. So I hope that continues. You know, I want to say, you know, love to see Derwin James back. You know, I'm a huge fan of Derwin. I think he's one of the best defensive backs in the NFL, best safety. You know, he played phenomenal. You know, ranked really high in the PFF, 90.2 overall, I believe it was, and then had the highest grade of any defensive backs when it comes to coverage as a safety. And that's something that some people want to knock him on is his coverage ability. And he comes in after a year and just dominates the game in the passing game, but also, you know, shows his physicality with 7 tackles, you know, second on the team in 7 tackles. So, and I don't know if anyone saw Sante Samuel was third on the team with 6 tackles excuse me, this past weekend. So, hey, you know, DBU's in the house, and then you see Jalen Ramsey just being in that star position. You know, he was dominating early, you know, against my Chicago Bears. So,
yep.
You know, Andy Dalton for president.
And going back to your point on Jameis, you know, give him an offensive line, give him a running game, give him a defense. Look what happens, 38-3 against the Green Bay Packers. And I thought he did a terrific job, you know, just being in that game manager role throughout. And then whenever Sean Payton asked him to make a play, he went out and made it. You know, 4th down in Green Bay territory, they had him throw like a tight end screen. They got 20 or 30 yards. They go for it on 4th and goal. He throws a touchdown pass while he's getting tackled, basically. And then at the end of the game, they're finally like, all right, let's let him throw deep. There you go. Wide open deep ball that goes for a long touchdown. So, man, it was just great to see vintage Jameis back. And, you know, we've watched him for the last 2 years now. He's worked really hard for this opportunity. Logan, we got a chance to see him up and close and personal back in April. And, you know, I really think he deserves it. And I hope the Saints have a lot of success this year. And that's not just because I'm a fan.
Mm-hmm. And also going to off the field, he's been representing Florida State very well, and you know, now the Saints, but he's doing a lot now after the hurricane that went through there, and it was highlighted in the stadium quite a bit. And you know, he's doing a lot of work off the field. I don't think a lot of people are talking about it enough. Obviously, I think now that his performance on the field, it's rare to see that in the Jameis limelight, but the stuff on the field is really highlighting in a positive way. But they're also not seeing the positives that he's doing off the field with the amount of water, food that they've been collecting. Their team there, the Jameis Winston team, has been doing a fantastic job at helping out the community there in New Orleans. So it was cool to see. You know, there was a few Green Bay Packers fans in the stands talking crab leg jokes. I thought that was like 6-7 years ago. I thought that was so outdated. NFL fans are really weird. I think I'm better at college football games than NFL. There are some really weird like NFL fans. Like I understand like you doing the dressing up thing. I think that's even better. But there's some weird people. I don't know if I was just in a weird crowd, but maybe they're just Packers fans.
You were in Jacksonville, so
whoa, all right. Whoa. You going against Jacksonville people there?
Well, I'm just saying it's a strange city. I've been there a couple times.
Relax.
Please rip Dustin apart on Twitter. You can find his Twitter down below in the description.
Austin, I did want to ask you, you know, this is not FSU related, but, you know, how nervous are you now seeing Patrick Peterson get turned around by a rookie? You know, so does he need to move to safety to prolong his career like Woodson did, and like Charles Woodson and both Rod Woodson did that? Darryl Green even did that at one point. You know,
I wouldn't be upset with it because, I mean, we have Harrison Smith, who's one of the best safeties in the league, but next to me you have Xavier Woods, who's just okay. I wouldn't be upset moving Pete back. But then who are you playing at corner? Are you really playing Rashad Breeland, Cam Dantzler, and Chris Boyd? Like, it's kind of just putting what you have out there. Our secondary is pretty terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that route was filthy.
Yeah, so NFL Knowles, good start to week 1. Brian Burns also had a good weekend too. Worth noting there. So good stuff from the former Knowles, excelling really well. I'm excited to see Derwin James, Jalen, Jameis. It's going to be fun.
On one note, LaMarcus Joyner is out for the season. I feel like we have to give our regards to him. out for the surgery, tore some tendon in his arm, which sucks to see because he was starting out there for the Jets. Sucks to see because he's really talented, really versatile player.
He's going to be tag teaming with Hamza back there, which sucks. I thought those two would be a great tandem. So that stinks big time. And to learn from and have Hamza, he'll still learn from LaMarcus and he'll help in the film room a lot too. But Hamza being able to learn from LaMarcus Joyner this year, I think is going to be big time. That's just easy money. Before we move on, let's give some love to our sponsors. I'm wearing them right now, Proud 90. You can find them at proud90.com. These polos feel fantastic. You're not wearing the Proud 90 shirt. I don't know what you're trying to do right now with a regular black t-shirt. But these are what it is. This is my other one that they hooked me up with. This thing is awesome. If you guys use code NGD20, you get 20% off at proud90.com. The code is NGD20. They feel great. They've also partnered with starting quarterback McKenzie Milton. He's been rocking those over and on his IG. They're great for tournament wear. You can also wear them with Todd out. I wear them every Friday to work, and I get so many compliments. Definitely when I'm going out. I've never heard so many people ask where I get it and everything of that nature. So definitely go help them out. Also, check them out. They're also former Noles too. So go help out some former Noles in their business. Just use code NG20 and you also get 20% off. Like I said, these feel amazing. They also hooked up the whole team here. So definitely appreciate them for overall also sponsoring the show for us this evening. Let's move on to some goodies here, Austin. Now that after last weekend, we don't know really what happened, but after last weekend, the instant thought from most fans was, when is basketball season starting? I'm pretty sure that was said throughout the stadium.
Which is 56 days. We are 56 days from basketball season.
56 days away. Before we jump into Florida State versus Wake Forest preview, kind of give us the latest on basketball. So I know there's some recruiting, and then we also got the schedule coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, so immediately following the Jacksonville State loss, the very next day, basketball gets a commit, further strengthening people's thoughts that basketball and football cannot be good simultaneously. They get a commit from 4-star Cameron Corin out of Plano, Texas. 6'9", 230. He's going to be more of a 5. He's in that Malik Osborne, Fiondu Kabengele mold. The staff really thinks he can turn into Fee, and if he does, that's great because Fiondu turned out to be a phenomenal player. Can bang down low, has some post moves, can stretch out to 3. He's what you expect from Florida State. He's long and athletic, so I think he'll fit in just fine. It was important for them to get somebody. We've been talking about there was an edge for them to get somebody, whether it was Dylan Mitchell and then Dariq Whitehead goes to Duke. Then it's Jay-Z and Gortman going to overtime. Like there's just so many things where Florida State thinks they're getting somebody. They just had to get somebody, and they got a pretty talented kid who's going to be here for a few years. I think the staff's very excited about it, and hopefully there's another one coming in a couple weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, it's great. Like you said, Austin, it's great for them just to really get a commitment at this point because I feel like the last couple of months, nothing has gone right in the Discord. Every prediction that you guys put in, it's getting flipped because, recruiting is just such a crazy game. It changes every day, every week. You never really know what's going to happen, but glad they got one on the board. And, hopefully this just builds the momentum. Austin, how many spots they got this year? 4 or 5?
I think they have up to 6 spots next year. I think a lot of them will be transfers. I think you're looking at least 2 or 3 transfers coming in for next season. I don't think it's going to be all freshmen. I think it'd kind of be a mistake if they went all freshmen. But just get 2 or 3 talented guys that can develop for a few years and then get a couple talented transfers. Like get more Caleb Mills in here. And you have a pretty good team going forward.
Yeah, and that's the game now, figuring out the mix between high school talent and the transfer you bring in. So
which is
a different landscape.
Baylor's built up almost all the transfers, and it clearly worked for them winning a national championship very convincingly.
Mm-hmm. Now we got, it comes even closer. Now we got the schedule released too tomorrow night, which I know a lot of FSU fans will be keeping a close eye on that. And we know the opponents, but just don't know which dates those will necessarily be locked into. We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. we get the full ACC schedule. We are like Logan said, we're out into the opponents. You're playing. I've got to put up here. You always play Clemson and Miami twice. Then you also get Duke, NC State, Syracuse, and Wake Forest twice. At home, you get Louisville, Notre Dame, Pitt, and Virginia Tech. Then on the road, you get Boston College, Georgia Tech, UNC, and Virginia. A couple tough road games there. But yeah, excited to see a schedule finally. We already know the non-conference teams and that we're playing Penn to open the season on November 10th. And we're pretty excited. What's most exciting is we'll find out who Florida State's going to face and their chance to tie the ACC record from straight home wins against ACC opponents. They ended the season at 25. The ACC record's 26. So whoever they play first at home in conference, they're going to be coming into a good environment because Florida State fans will be well aware of what's happening. But I also know the ACC, they're going to give us Duke. They're going to give us, they're going to give us some big game where they're like, oh, you think you have a record? No, here's Duke. Sorry. But I think a lot of fans are excited about this.
Yep. I'm excited for the season ahead, too. And like you said, that record, man, it just keeps on going and chugging along. So hopefully there's some easy ones in there where Florida State can kind of seal that off. And I'm definitely looking forward to
it'd be great if the ACC was like, oh, yeah, here's Wake Forest for your first conference game. Oh, and then you want Miami to break the record here. Perfect. That would be glorious. But I think everybody knows it's going to be probably like Duke and then Louisville or something stupid like that.
Yeah. Hopefully.
You just got to keep those vibes in the Tucker Center going, man. It has been a crazy environment it's getting close to half a decade at this point. It's crazy to see the rebirth of FSU basketball, and I just hope it keeps growing. A lot of young talent on the team this year. I would say not as many veterans the past couple of years, but that just means more guys to step into their roles and, show out. So I'm excited.
It's a talented group, and it's very more modern college basketball. We'll get into it a few weeks down the road, but it's very guard heavy, and that's where college basketball has gone. Baylor predominantly played 3-guard lineups last year. I think that's the way college basketball is going. And you can see what the moves Florida State made. They lost a few bigs and Raekwon Gray and Balša Koprivica. And they really don't replace them with anybody, but you bring in a guy like Caleb Mills, you bring in Jalen Worley, you're bringing in very talented guards. It's going to be a really fun season, and I'm looking forward to the schedule.
Yep. Well, gentlemen, you ready to get into a little Florida State versus Wake Forest? Florida State's going to be facing the Demon Deacons this Saturday at 3:30 primetime, little afternoon, ABC, ESPN. We'll be covering that live on Twitter, across everything. We've got content coming out, articles, videos, and everything. But man, oh man, Florida State's going into this game 0-2. Wake Forest, the complete opposite, 2-0. And, you just got to kind of think here, mental game for Florida State going into this. What are they thinking? Is this a team that's already given up on the season, or did that kind of tick them off and they're ready to fight? The only 2 wins for Wake Forest, though, worth noting, was Old Dominion 42-10. I know I saw Monarchs there. I was like, that is a weird name for a team. But the Old Dominion Monarchs, they beat them 42-10. And then Norfolk State Spartans, they beat them 41-16. So this is going to be Wake Forest really true first matchup of the season. How are we feeling, guys? First thoughts heading into this one. What have y'all been feeling the last couple of days heading in?
Hey, well, the real season gets started now because now you're going into conference play. And, we've talked about it. Who really knows which Florida State team is going to show up on Saturday? I don't think any of us can really confidently say, it's just going to depend. This team, they've shown, I said earlier, they've shown the best they can be. They've shown the worst they can be. Can we get somewhere in the middle against Wake Forest and compete against a solid Demon Deacon team? I mean, this is a team, veteran quarterback. Obviously, Dave Clawson has been there for a while. He's got his offense pretty well installed, and they know what he likes to do. So it's going to be a tough test on Saturday.
Wake's a team that runs the ball really well, and they have through the first couple games. But Dave Clawson's a smart enough coach to go, they've got Florida State has a good defensive line with Jermaine Johnson, Kier Thomas, and company. I think you're going to see a lot more of their quarterback, a lot more of their passing game than we have through 2 games. In games where they didn't really need to show anything, it's mostly vanilla offense, and the only exception they've thrown was the backup quarterback. So I think you're going to see a little bit more airing out from Wake Forest because I think they at the least respect Florida State's defensive line.
Yeah, I agree with Austin. I think that while Wake does like to run the ball, I don't think that they're going to be very successful against Florida State. I think the route for them to go is to utilize Hartman and his experience and create those mismatches that we've seen happen all year with that back 7 for FSU. Early thoughts is I haven't really studied much on Wake Forest due to the fact they haven't played anyone yet. And for like I said earlier in the podcast, I think this is truly a must win for FSU, and one of the true must wins that they've had in quite a while. You can't afford to go 0-3 in a year, but they can't afford it right now, especially with the recruiting class they have right now and just the direction of the program. I think that I don't want to be on Twitter if they go 0-3. I just tell you that. I might spend the rest of the day off Twitter. It's just going to be a madhouse. But hearing that last week this team was super lackadaisical in practice, and people were just going through the motions, and there were a lot of loafing and just not a good week of practice, and they go out and lose to an FCS team. And hearing that so far this week the practices have been a lot more focused and a lot more driven for the result. Maybe that was a wake-up call. I don't know. This team is so schizophrenic on how it's gonna show up. Like Dustin said, which one do you get? Do you get the competitive, 38 points against Notre Dame, or do you get the team that just goes through the motions and puts up 17 against an FCS team and they lose at the gun? I don't know, man. And one of my big questions coming into the season was has FSU passed that mental block, that the ability to push through adversity? That whole game last week was adversity, and they did not push through. And that's my concern going against a well-coached team. A team that, like Wake Forest, they're not super talented this year. They lost some of their best players due to injury during camp. But FSU hasn't shown me really much to be feeling really positive now going into this week. So I'm eager to see how it unfolds.
Yeah, I will say I'm interested to see the linebackers this week, because obviously you're going to miss Kalen DeLoach for that first half after the targeting penalty against Jacksonville State. So you're probably going to have Cortez Andrews, the walk-on transfer from Maryland, step in there for his first start as a Seminole. And I mean, he's been decent through the first two games, and this linebacker core just so young. And we'll see if they can continue to grow against, like you said, Austin, a Wake Forest team that has a good running attack. So you're going to need them to have a good game. And, man, the DBs are going to need to have a good game. We'll see if that happens.
It's a Wake Forest team that's averaging over almost 6 yards per play. I think it's like 5.88, averaging 4.5 per carry. It's a very solid team. And Florida State's going to have to come to play, and I hope they do, because I'm going to be in attendance 10 rows from the field. So I don't want them laying an egg like they have the last two, or I'll say like last week. They just got to show something, show some fight. It's been a bad 2 games, but you can easily rebound from these 2 games and still put in a quality season. But you have to take away the mental mistakes. You can't have 11 penalties again. Wake Forest only has 6 penalties through 2 games. That's almost half of what Florida State had last game. So they got to be focused. They really do.
Yeah, and you had a comment up there just now, Logan. I was going to mention their pitch it to go no huddle quick, which is giving FSU fits. And man, this is a very winnable game for FSU. But we said that last week, and you can say that about a lot of games on the schedule. It just comes down, for me. This comes down to how FSU plays, not necessarily how Wake plays. Because I don't think they're a great team this year. You can't really judge their season yet. Like I think Austin said it too. Based on who they've played, you just have to look at the situation that Florida State's in, and can they nut up and get a W.
And you have to think Wake Forest definitely going to come out, from the opening kickoff and be ready to go, because they know they're going up against a Florida State team that's probably questioning itself right now. And, I'm sure the Demon Deacons are going to come out, try and punch FSU in the mouth and see if they're going to respond or if they're going to lay down. And I think we'll find out pretty early, how this game is going to go, whether Florida State's going to fight for 4 quarters or, not even if it would have even been worth them getting off the bus. So we'll just have to see. I'm definitely worried about the challenges that the Wake Forest offense presents to FSU. They're not really a team that relies on a lot of big plays. I think through 2 games and against those teams they played who, aren't great competition. They've only had 1 or 2 plays that were 40 yards or longer. So this is an offense that will put drives together and keep your defense on the field for a long time and tire them out. And then, by the second half, that defense is just sucking wind. So it'd be huge for Florida State in that first half, get a couple 3-and-outs, shorten some drives, force some punts, and, man, build some momentum early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we also get to mind this is Florida State's first road game. They were terrible on the road last season, and they haven't looked great. They haven't looked great at home this year. So how do they handle their first true road test? I know they kind of got that simulation when they went to Jacksonville for those couple of practices, but now they're going into a quote-unquote hostile environment. There's only so much hostility in Winston-Salem at Wake Forest. But
3,000 fans going wild.
Yeah, and they're all 6 years old plus. It's still their first road game away from Tallahassee, away from things that they're used to. How they react, we won't know until probably 4:30, about an hour after kickoff. But we'll see. There's certainly some challenges.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now really worth noting here, Nate, Austin's going to be in attendance. Is there anybody that he needs to talk to recruiting-wise? Can we get him there for a few interviews? What do we need to do?
It doesn't matter because I'm not going to.
Let's wait until after the game because recruiting might be on a downslide by then.
Yeah, let's wait till after.
Let's wait till after, then send him out.
After the game, I'll be in the car doing an instant reaction podcast, probably.
Okay. That can work. We'll take you for that for sure. But yeah, they got to show up. I mean, I think it was worth. I don't know who just said it earlier, but I think Wake Forest is going to strike very fast against maybe a little vulnerable, thinking about itself team with Florida State. Gotta be ready. I mean, I think they're just going to send it. I do believe in Florida State's running game. They can push that down. I'm not so sold yet. Like the passing, like we talked about earlier, it's just not there yet. But running wise, it's easy tandem. Corbin and Ward. I know. We hear in the press conferences that you want to see all 4 of them, all 5, all 6 of them. You got 2 running backs that have been playing the best out of their first 2 games. Run with them. They should be able to go through a whole football game. If one's not feeling good, you go with the other one. If the other one's not feeling good, you go with the other one. But you don't need to run 3 or 4 when they're. I understand you want to get as much playing time, but if it's not working, keep in the 2 best players. That's what you do.
We have 2 really good running backs, and the offensive line is best at run blocking. Like they've been opening running lanes in both games. Where they struggle is pass protection. Don't put this offense in situations where on 2nd and 9, 3rd and 11. Like these situations can happen. Part of that's less penalties. Part of that's you just got to commit to running the ball and running the ball out of the Wildcat. Like get away from it. That's what I mean to say.
I was about to say, geez,
yeah, get away from the Wildcat.
Doesn't seem like that's over. Dillingham keeps.
Use your running backs, but use them smartly. I get the direct snap. I get what you're going for, but when you do that, you're taking the threat away of a pass, and you know what the team's doing. Just run the ball, use your backs.
I hate the Wildcat. I wish it would disappear. I understand the premise of it, of getting the ball quickly to the back. I understand it, but it didn't work. And then they use it on 3rd and 1, and it didn't work. Like you should flush that down the toilet. I think that Florida State to win this game is going to have to run 40 plus times because they're clearly a much better running team than they are passing, and I really think that they're going to have to. Corbin's going to have to go for well over 100. Shashawn Ward's going to have to get 15 carries and 75, 80 yards. I think they're going to have to really control that line of scrimmage, control the time of possession. And it's just time to do what you're best at. Right now, they're better running team than they are throwing. And if that's what it is, so be it. Just do what you're good at and get the W. Stop forcing the passing game when it's just not working.
And to your point, FSU pounding the ball and, hopefully grind up some clock. That's probably going to be one of the only things that can hopefully get that Wake Forest offense out of a rhythm on Saturday, make them sit over there on that sideline while you go down the field for 6, 7, 8 minutes, and then hopefully come out, force a 3-and-out, and do it all over again. So we'll see what happens. Like you said earlier, Nate, this is a big game for Florida State. One of the biggest games probably in recent history, and I feel like we're going to learn a lot about this team and a lot about this coaching staff based on, what they come out and play with on Saturday.
And I want to see less horizontal play call. I want to see more vertical play calling with the passing game. I want to see less wide receiver screens, less tight end screens, less stuff to the flats, unless it's your third, fourth option. At least expand it somewhat vertically where you can open things up for the running game. The most important thing with the running game is, like Dustin noted, it slows the game down. And you saw it last week against Jacksonville State where the defense was just tired by the end of the game because they'd been on the field for so long. You got to give this defense a break. You can't keep going 3 and out on offense and only take 20 seconds off the clock. Give the defense a break, run the ball, get some first downs. It shouldn't be that difficult, hopefully.
And when you're going to pass, catch the damn ball.
That too. That too.
And,
that would help a little bit, right?
I mean, I agree, Austin. They're going horizontal too much, man. They haven't really stretched the field or attempted to very much. And when they have, they've gone to Keyshawn Houghton, who I just don't think is the right person for that role. I'm not a coach, but I'm just going based off my experience of football. A 6'3", 200-pound receiver is going to be better at a 50-50 jump ball than a 5'9", 170-pound kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I want more of McLean. I don't give a damn how much I got to do to it. Do I have to pay? Can I Venmo someone on the coaching staff? Like, that ball should have been. I understand Heldon. That's going on, and he was wide open. That should have been caught. But I want McLean, even if I want one-on-ones with McLean, I think there should be more opportunities. Like Austin was noting, I want more vertical shots. Give the guys a chance, man. I understand, though, there have been drops, so maybe that's what the worrisome is. But if that's the drops from the veterans, put in the youngins. Let them get a chance and let them go up for one-on-ones. I want to see Burrell go on one-on-ones. We've heard great things about him during practices and him being a physical guy. He's got that Bowden build. If there's one-on-one chances, quarterbacks, let's take a chance. Take it. Take the shot. That's what Notre Dame was doing, and booyah. I mean, even though Travis J had pretty decent coverage, and one of them being great coverage and still mossed them, I mean, that's just what you do. Let them take advantage of one-on-ones. I think the quarterbacks are still a little nervous with that, and, I don't know. I want more vertical shots. I want McLean out there. I want Burrell.
I want Williamson. I want
Douglas.
I want Quinton Portier.
Douglas out there. In Notre Dame. I mean, he performed. He performed well. Douglas played. Yeah. Why is that not being utilized more? It just seems like when something works one week, like we saw this last year, something worked really well that week, and then the next week you never see it again. That's something that I'm questioning.
And I mean, even Andrew Parchment, I mean, you brought this guy in to be a vertical deep threat. And I mean, man, I can probably count the amount of times I've seen him, run a fade route on hand. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, there's questions here. No, it doesn't make sense to anybody else on the show here. Brian Robinson,
non-factor, move on.
Still hurt. Yep, still out right now.
But yeah, I would like to see Burrell in the slot. You have a guy who's physical, get you those tough catches. I really like Williamson. McLean. Go youth movement.
For real.
Just
preaching to the choir. Mate.
It's time, man. It's time.
Nah, definitely in the wide receiver room.
It seems like it's your young kids who are really that have the dog mentality on this team. Reward that and take your lumps. If you're going to take the lumps with the players and build for the future.
Mr. Wren here says, let Wren blow the top off.
Yeah.
About it. Just the production there has been not so fun to watch. But which guy, I'll just ask this before going to score predictions, which guy needs to have a big game in order for Florida State to win this? Jermaine Johnson has been leading all Power 5, and I believe friggin' tackles, sacks, what else? Almost everything else for a lineman right now in all Power 5 conferences. But who in particular, both offensively and defensively, do you guys think needs to have an impressive game in order for Florida State to go up there to Winston-Salem and win this? I think for me, I'll go first. I think offensively, I'm going with, I wish I could mix it, but I think Corbin, they're going to have to run really well in this and stay consistent on offense moving down the field because I'm not sold on the passing game. Defensively, I'm not worried about Jermaine Johnson's. I know he'll have a good game. So I'm going to maybe someone Maybe in the linebacker room, is it going to be Lundy or, does Steven Dix Jr. get some more PT in there? I think I'm going to go DB, and I'm going to go Brownlee. I think Brownlee has to have a turnaround game after what happened last weekend. I know there was some things off the field that he was dealing with. He owned up to the mistake that happened on the field against Jacksonville State. But going to Hartman, I mean, they're going to throw it. And you got to have a good cover DB during this game. So I'm going to go Brownlee. I think Brownlee and along with Corbin need to have a big game this upcoming weekend. If you're in the comments right now, put in there, who do you think needs to have a big game?
I'm going outside the box. I'm going with the two coordinators. I'm going with Kenny Dillingham and Adam Fuller. I feel like they have to call the game correctly for Florida State to have a chance. There's been too many times where the player may be in the right position, make the wrong play, or there's just a complete wrong play call on defense. And on offense, we've already talked about it. Run the ball. Stop going horizontal. Use what this offense is good at and don't bounce from thing to thing. Find something and stick with it. Use the running game to open up play action, open up things down the field. I think it's on the coordinators as much as it is on any single player.
And I mean, this is kind of a cop-out answer. I'm going to go with the offensive line because, I mean, last week was just dreadful. A ton of penalties, holding, false starts, bad snaps, ineligible man downfield. I mean, man, just fundamentally, they need to get it together as a group. And we've talked about it on previous episodes. They didn't get a ton of time to work together as a consistent five during the preseason because of guys being banged up and whatnot. And even last week, you're without starting center Maurice Smith. We'll see if he's ready to go on Saturday. But, it's going to be huge for Coach Atkins and that whole unit. Just like I said with the starting quarterback position earlier, I mean, you just got to have these guys on the field together getting reps to build that offensive chemistry. And defensively, it's tough. I would say the entire defensive backfield, but I'll just go with Sidney Williams, first start of the season at safety. I think he's been FSU's probably best defensive back to this point by far, whether it's in pass coverage or coming up to make some big hits in the running game. A lot to like about the kid. I mean, only a redshirt freshman. So, yeah, excited to see what he can do against the Demon Deacons and, hopefully just bounce back from that last play.
Austin kind of stole my thunder. I was going to go that
I saw
route
you smile.
with the coordinators.
We didn't even talk about this. I feel good.
So
and you could still pick the same. I think
there's a lot of people that need to step up in this game.
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
I'm going to go Andrew Parchment on offense. He came in expecting to be a guy to stretch the field, bring that big playability to the wide receiver room that they needed coming into the season, and he's been a little non-existent. Some of the play calling, lack of opportunities, quarterback. You can talk about a lot of why the production is what it is. But he needs to have a big game, stretch the field, take the top off the defense, have a couple big plays, and put some points on the board. And on defense, I'm gonna go Amari Gaynor. And I'm going to go Gaynor because, you're missing Deloach, who has been pretty steady as a starter 2 games in. I had a bust of play, right when the game started against Notre Dame, but overall, he played a lot better than last year. And you look at a position that's just not very deep. He's going to have to just be that guy that controls that intermediate stuff and, it is a beast in the run game and also is able to cover those tight ends or whatnot. Because I agree with Austin. I think they're going to throw the ball a lot. So, Gaynor's got to step up and wreak some havoc and create some turnovers. So I'm gonna go with those two.
And to Nate's point, Gaynor's been in position. He just hasn't made the plays. You can talk about the missed safety from last week, where he had him dead to rights and just overshot it. He's been in position. He's just got to make those plays.
And it's worth noting Deloach too won't be there in the first half, so that kind of linebacker room is already teetering with some depth there, at least with a lot of experience so far playing the season. So, that those are some good picks too. I think sadly there's a lot of handfuls, and Austin went the coaching route there, and not wrong. A lot of the FSU Twitter, a lot of fans, outlets, people covering it, a lot of blame went towards the coaching staff. So they also have to bounce back here this upcoming weekend. It's not just the players. Before we do some score predictions, let's give some love to our friends over there at Manscaped. You can find them at manscaped.com. The best razors down below. I say down below the legs, the best you can find. I can't praise it enough. Had to use it this last weekend. Had to get prepared for the week ahead. The light on it, I swear the LED light changes the game for everything. I did clean it though, but I did shave my face. But really the primary focus here is down below. You can use our code Knowles20 for 20% off. And they're hooking it up too for you guys that listen and watch the show. You also get free shipping. So the package is awesome. It comes with a lot of different things. And it's also got wireless charging involved there too. So it's just advanced technology. But the razor itself is actually pretty phenomenal. So
yeah,
they've done a great
I
job.
think we should do like an infomercial the next.
No way. And Nate's gone. Always whenever there's some kind of thing where he needs to be talking. I hate that Dustin's muted so we could also hear him laugh. But oh my God. And Nate's gone. He was talking so highly of Manscaped that we just lost him. Nate, continue with your story.
Sorry. So I think we should do an infomercial at the next game. Do like a whatever you want to call it.
Trimming of Dustin's back hair or something?
No, I think we could have done a better job with a tailgate, for Notre Dame. So I'm thinking Miami. We do an official tailgate. We get Hobbit there, we get some wings, and then we show how powerful the razor is by shaving Dustin's back. I think that's what's really going to help us really sell some more of these awesome razors. Is that when people see it in action, because you're going to look at it and be like, "Holy cow!" And then you watch this razor just plow through it,
what could work down below.
Yeah, like it's a hot knife through butter. There you go. And we could probably sell, 5,000 at the FSU game once you see, that go through Dustin's back hair.
Yeah, we'll just hand them off to, as long as we sanitize, we'll hand them off. You can go to the porta potties and go shave your pubes before the game. I mean, there's just no better tailgate you could be at. You get Hobbit wings, you get that all over your fingers, you go down and shave. Like, this could be the ultimate tailgating experience. Get ready for that. The Miami game, we'll have more details on that.
And then you go to Mass Social and,
or we get someone. We got to get some beer involved. So we don't have a beer sponsor yet. But if there's any out there, anybody listening,
go to Hobbit after. Go wherever you want to go after. And
you're shaved. You're ready to eat
with a freshly shorn scrotum. It's way to go.
Absolutely. So use our code Knowles20 for 20% off, and you also get free shipping. So manscaped.com. They're hooking it up. So definitely take advantage of that big time discount. We've already had a few people tell us that they have taken advantage. So go right ahead, gentlemen. Let's get to the fun part here. What everybody's been waiting for. We got in the chat. Everybody's getting ready. Score predictions for Florida State versus Wake Forest. Primetime ABC this Saturday afternoon. First afternoon game of the season. First road game of the season. Florida State did not win a road game last season.
I want to go last.
Worth noting. Nate wants to go last. I feel like he's got something prepared of some nature. I don't know. But yeah, if you're in the comments right now, put the score prediction. If you're on the podcast, tweet us your score predictions. But gentlemen, who wants to take it first? I'll go second. I'll go
first. I don't care. Coming into the season, whenever we actually did the schedule preview or whatever a couple weeks ago, I had this game pinned as a loss for Florida State. Considering the circumstances and how we got here to week 3, I think I'm going to keep that prediction as is. I'm not confident in which Florida State team that we're going to see on Saturday. I just have no idea. And at the same time, I mean, you've got a Wake Forest program that, like I said, Dave Clawson has been there forever. He's got his guys, his system. They know how to run it. A veteran quarterback in Sam Hartman. So I'm just more comfortable in what they bring to the table rather than, the Jekyll and Hyde that is Florida State. And I'm going to go Wake Forest 38, Florida State 20. I'll see you guys at 7 p.m. on Saturday.
I thought you said you weren't going to show up if Florida State lost. You were going to show up to the instant reaction.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll flip a coin.
Yeah. Sports Illustrated. Hello, where are you at? Oh yeah, I'm up. Oh, sorry, I did say I was taking second. Dang it, I wish I could have gone never because I'm just gonna continue to depress this crowd. I've had no optimism about this upcoming game. I hate that it's a road game. I hate that they're playing once again this is now a veteran. I feel like he's been here for a while, but Hartman, a quarterback for Wake Forest. I think really a pivotal factor is going to be if once again you're just not going to see. I know we saw it against Jacksonville State a little bit, but I didn't understand what kind of package they were doing with both Jordan Travis and Mackenzie Melton on the field. That just wasn't working. I feel like they were just testing things, but there's got to be some kind of game plan for Jordan Travis. If he's fully healthy, if he's good to go, we got to see Jordan Travis on the field if Florida State's going to have a chance in this game, in my opinion. You can't take away your best leading rusher last season and him just be on the sideline in this game for the rest of the season. You're just hurting yourself. So I don't think that's happening. I think there's still some quarterback things that are going on that I don't trust and things that I'm hearing. So I don't think Florida State will win this game. I think Jordan Travis I don't think we'll see enough of him. So I'm going Florida State. I'm going to go Wake Forest, actually. 31 FSU 21.
This is depressing.
Yeah, no, it is. This is so far on the same picks here. And we also, I got to mention too, as a team, we are 1-1 on the season.
Well,
on the show.
I will continue the trend, sadly. As good as Wake Forest offense, I think we all think it's pretty good. We also have a really good kicker who is a career almost 90% field goal kicker. So if it comes down to that, he's got experience. He's in his fourth year. I think there's just too much working against Florida State's favor. I said it before the Notre Dame game. I'm not going to pick Florida State to win until they show me otherwise. And I had a little bit of hope until Jacksonville State. I think it's going to be highly competitive. I think it's going to be somewhat high scoring too. But I'm going to take Wake Forest 37, Florida State 31.
Man,
this is tough.
Man,
this is tough. Nate could be the only one. He could break the trend of us all picking the same teams.
So,
see.
I think that, like I said, this is a solid game. Florida State's a 5.5 point underdog as of the opening betting line. I'm not sure what it is now. There's a lot of people that have gone a complete 180. National media, Florida State's back. They're going to be competitive. Then they go and lay an egg last week. And so I'm actually going to buck the trend. I think Florida State pulls it out. I think that Wake Forest, has a good quarterback. They're decent at running backs. They have one playmaker at wide receiver. Their defense is okay. I mean, they're allowing 4 yards to play, but you look at who they played. I don't know, man. I'm gonna go with my gut. My gut tells me that Florida State pulls it out, and I think it's gonna be a 27-23 type game. I think it's gonna be contested throughout. I think that this is a game where Milton's experience pays off for FSU, and I think that they make it happen, and they go to 1-2 in the season. I think they get it done. My gut just tells me, they'll make it happen. My gut told me that they had a chance to beat Notre Dame. That happened. My gut told me they'd blow out Jacksonville State, and that didn't happen. So I don't know. We'll see.
No, you weren't. Yeah, you weren't the only one.
So I'm gonna go 27-23 FSU with the W.
And to Nate's point, it's not like it's impossible for a team to start out 2 games poorly and then pick it up throughout the season.
Yeah, Virginia Tech lost a couple years ago. They went 0-2 and they won out.
I'm gonna go further back because I saw it in the comments earlier. 2007 Michigan started at 0-2, including a loss to App State at the very end, and then ripped off 8 straight wins after App State and a loss to Oregon, and they won 8 straight. So it's not unprecedented. Things can happen. So, I mean, if you want to have optimism, there's your optimism.
Optimism, baby. I want optimism. I would love for Florida State to bounce back. All of us here would. It would be really fun to have an instant reaction and, say, hey, boom, there you go. First win, and it's on the road. That's impressive. I like that. That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Let me throw in there. I think Corbin goes for over 200.
Whoa. Shoot.
Damn.
They're going to be rotating 4 or 5 running backs, Nate. Dillingham likes that.
Yeah. No, it's not going to happen, because if it does happen, I'm going to drive it to Winston-Salem and meet my son.
That's what you're going to be doing.
I'm going to make the 10-hour drive to Winston-Salem.
Go hang out with Austin Young, do recruiting coverage up there for a week.
He can do recruiting coverage up here.
Go talk to a bunch of 2-stars. No.
Damn, that's tough. But yeah, definitely we will be covering that. Looking forward to that. I think we've got so many articles going out for coverage there. So keep an eye on that. All you got to do is Google FSUSI. Appreciate everybody for y'all's support and congratulations over the last couple of days. This has been really fun. We're excited to be working under the network of the Sports Illustrated, the meetings that we've been having. There's a lot of the future is really bright too. They're doing some really cool things. So we're excited about teaming up with them. We appreciate y'all's support. Nothing changes. It just amps up now. And so we're excited. As always, you can listen to this show on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. If you're on YouTube, definitely hit that like button if you want to. If you've lasted this long, definitely hit the like button. It's free. Doesn't take more than a second. Hit that like button to subscribe. We release episodes all throughout the week, and we go live on Wednesday nights at 8:30, and then we do instant reactions after the game. Definitely appreciate everyone listening. Enjoy the game this weekend. Go Steelers. I'm feeling good. We're back, baby. Steelers Saints Super Bowl, baby. Upcoming. Can't wait. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye.